What's up, my dear language learning masters, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Language Input Podcast. And today we're gonna address one more topic related to language learning. Okay, and this is a very hot topic, a very common topic, and something that we use a lot. And but anyway, we'll talk about it in a moment. But before we get started, I wanted to remind you to leave your comments down below, whether you're listening to the actual podcast or watching it on YouTube. I encourage you to leave your comments about what your opinion is on this specific podcast, but also on any questions you may have regarding language learning or around the language learning process. Because that way I'll be able to answer them in a future episode, and you'll be giving me ideas for future episodes as well. So it's a win-win situation. All right. So with that being said, thanks in advance for that and for listening to this podcast. And I hope it's really useful for you guys. All right, so let's get started with episode number 2. And the question here in episode number 2 is error correction actually a good idea? Because I'm sure we've all been in many situations in which we make a grammar mistake in a foreign language and someone corrects our mistake, or we go to language classes, to language academy, or in school or high school or college, whatever it is, that our teachers correct our mistakes, thinking that that's going to help us. And pretty much, I was going to make up a number, but I'd say 99%, I don't know, of people learning languages still think that error correction is actually a good practice, that it's actually good for them to improve. And if you've been following my project for a while, you know what my answer is going to be. But let me tell you that no, not even close. Error correction does not help us improve. All right? I want to be clear on that, first of all. And then, not only does it not help us improve, but it's actually counterproductive. So it's actually negative. And as usual, I'm going to explain why in a moment, and I'm going to give you examples. All right? But let's start with the idea behind error correction. All right? I guess, or I'm thinking that the goal, the objective, the purpose of error correction is to let us know where we made a mistake so we can get it right the next time, right? But you've probably noticed that when you make a mistake in a foreign language, even if your error is corrected, or even after your error is corrected, you keep making that mistake several times. Right? Can you relate to that? Can you, did it happen to you? Because it certainly did to me and to everyone I speak to. All right. And once again, as I talked about in the first episode, this is about input, output, and learning conscious versus subconscious learning. Okay. And the thing is, when we're consciously correcting other people's mistakes, we're talking about conscious learning. We're talking about that person consciously realizing what the right word is or what the right form is. Okay. But you've probably noticed that when you make a mistake in a foreign language, many times, I'm sure you can relate to this. Many times, right after you made a mistake, like a few seconds later or even a split second later, you yourself realize that you made a mistake because you had studied that, grammar rule in traditional classes, right? And I'm pretty sure you can all relate to this, that you said, whatever it is in a foreign language, you made a grammar mistake and right away you realized you made a mistake. So you didn't need anybody to tell you that you made a mistake. You yourself realize that you made a mistake. But consciously knowing the grammar rule and consciously knowing that yeah, consciously knowing the grammar from your traditional classes didn't actually help you produce it the right way. Didn't actually help you produce the right sentence, right? So that's already telling us that it's not gonna help us. Because when someone corrects our mistakes, we're consciously learning that. We're consciously learning that specific rule again. But believe me, you're gonna keep repeating that mistake, okay? And you're gonna realize right away that yourself that you made a mistake. But that's not gonna prevent you from making it. And again, what you need in order to get it right in the future is to listen to it correctly in context many times, as usual. So again, it's all about input. It's all about comprehensible input and about a subconscious process. That's how the process works. You know, we adults want to consciously control everything we can, but it's not how the language process works. You know, but I think this is actually good news, because if you're understanding what you're listening to or what you're reading, you're learning the language. It's that simple. Even if you don't realize, you're learning the language. Okay? But yeah, but before I give you more examples, think about this as well. So we've already proven, or we've already talked about the fact that error correction does not help you get it right the next time, which is its main purpose, right? But not only that, think about this as well. How do you feel when your errors in a specific foreign language were corrected? Didn't you become afraid of speaking because you were afraid of making mistakes? Right? Did it happen to you? I'm sure you can all relate to it as well. And I was going to say the funny thing, but the dangerous thing is, for most people, because I talk about this with many people, for most people, they can right away relate to this, and they feel that. They realize that they feel that. But the dangerous thing is, even for people who think it doesn't affect them, because sometimes people tell me, no, I want to be corrected and it doesn't affect me. Believe me, it does. On a subconscious level, it does. And I'm sure it does to you, even if you think it doesn't. Because on some subconscious level, we don't like to be correct. We don't like to be wrong, right? In anything in life. And when our errors are corrected that way, you're going to become afraid of speaking. Believe me, it's going to happen. And it even happens to me now, to a person like me who is totally convinced by like the comprehensible input approach, let's say. It still happens to me that if someone makes a mistake, I try to make sure that nobody does that, because I know it's not helping me. But even when, for whatever the reason, because that's the first time I meet that person or whatever, if my error gets corrected, even if I know what's going on in my mind, I still become shy, or I become afraid of speaking because I'm afraid of making mistakes. And like I said, on some subconscious level, it happens to you as well, even if you think it doesn't, believe me. So if you look at it, it's just a horrible practice because it doesn't help. It doesn't get it done. It doesn't get it done when it comes to the purpose by which it was created. Let's put it that way. And it actually has some negative side effects, like the one I mentioned, a moment ago. So yeah, as usual, let me know in the comment section below whether you agree with this, whether it was something that you had never thought about, whether it was like an eye-opening experience. Because yeah, like my goal with this podcast and with the whole project in general is to help as many people as possible realize that we've been learning languages the wrong way, and we can all learn any language while enjoying the process every step of the way. All right, I'm totally convinced. But like I've mentioned many times, it's not gonna take you 2 months. All right, nobody can learn a language in 2 months. But don't worry, because it's not gonna take you 10 years either. All right. And well, I mean, if you're on YouTube, you've probably seen my video. But if you're listening to the actual podcast, I'll also make a future episode in which I'll talk about my honest, realistic, fact-based reference point on how long it actually takes to learn a language. All right, because I actually documented everything, every single thing I did in order to learn Italian from scratch. Yeah, and how long it took me. Like, I don't know, specific cartoon, 10 minutes today, and so on and so on. So that's, like I said, realistic, fact-based, and honest opinion, a reference point, okay? And yeah, like getting back to our main topic today, our error correction, I'm sure you can all relate to many situations in which, like I said, you made a grammar mistake yourself and you realize right away, because you constantly knew the rule, but that didn't help you get it right. That didn't help you produce the right word or the right sentence or the right structure or whatever you want to call it, right? Like I mentioned in the previous episode. So, it's just, whenever I think about it, it's any way you look at the traditional grammar approach, it's just horrible. Because it doesn't help you learn the language. It's boring, it's painful, and it makes so many people give up on languages. I mean, like, so many people, and I just hate that, because languages are are awesome. They're so fun to learn languages, and it's such a great feeling to be able to communicate with people from different countries in their own native language. It's a priceless feeling, and we all have access to that, because the process is already worked in every single one of us. We've all learned our native language. It works 100% of the time. So we all have the potential to do it again with the second language. And there's so many people missing out because of the damn traditional grammar approach. Okay? And I want to be clear on this. You too can learn any language when you're in the process, every step of the way, We need to stop this madness, all right? Because, like I see it every single day, so many people giving up on languages because of that. Because they believe it's never going to happen. They're never going to get it done. Or they believe they're not good at languages, or they're not talented enough, or they're too old, or whatever. They're not. All right? So, well, with this little motivation speak, at the end of the episode, we'll wrap things up here, okay? And yeah, as usual, leave your comments down below on the actual podcast or on YouTube, wherever you are, on your opinion on this episode. And also, if you have any question about language learning, leave it down below so I can make a future episode with your suggestion. I'll be really grateful if you did that, all right? And yeah, that's it for today. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in episode number 3. Have a good day, my dear language learning masters, whatever you might be. Bye-bye.